failure of a man machine gun trying to climb over the wall, not into another country, but into his own country, West Germany. I mean, that'd be like putting a wall up the Mississippi, blocking the east from the west and the west from the east. You know, this is not like people trying to come in from Canada or Mexico or whatever. But expanding on that, I know they killed a lot of people. They tortured a lot of people. I want to get your view on the film, The Lives of Others. I don't know if you've seen that. But,
I know him. I've seen it.
But having communists over what films could be made, what could be done, you know, demanding all these favors, the type that worked for the system, that enjoyed that corrupt power. But simply put, the mafia never did too well in Texas because if you tried to shake somebody down here, they would just kill you. Yeah. And so my question was, what about Stasi being hunted down by people they'd done wrong? Because it seems to me in any system, if somebody did something to your wife, your children, you're going to kill them. Even if you don't have a gun, I'm going to beat their brains out. I mean, what happened in the oppression there? Did people ever fight back, or did they ever go after them?
This never happens. No one in East Germany had a weapon, guns. There was no firearms in all East Germany. Not even all officers, army officers, had a gun at home. That was the exception. I had one all the time, but this was an exception because depended on your service. So there was no power the people could use, and it changed piece by piece, and they got more rights, and they had at least to provide some, call it evidence. Even if it's not evidence, you can provide anything. You know, and prepare
so over
anything.
time, even though the people were disarmed, they put pressure on the government to bring more liberty.
It would be different when West Germany not exist. Because the families most of the families were separated. A part lived in West Germany, a part were living in East Germany. There was contact. West Germany, they could come over for some event, vacation, but not from East Germany in the other direction. So there was connection there. You could see the TV from West Germany because Germany is not big. You know?
And you were telling me that was illegal.
Yes, it was illegal for officer, police, army, and illegal for teacher.
But didn't that make people automatically want to then?
Of course.
Yeah.
It's always the same.
You probably misunderstood what I was saying as I talk fast and there's a language barrier. I'm saying gun or not, if you did something to my family, I can kill people with my bare hands. I can kill somebody with a hammer, with a knife. I mean, did people ever strike back?
No, never. Never ever. It started with total power. When you tried to strike back, you would be gone.
Well, that's right. Germany had been completely bombed. Stalinist Russia had taken over. What was the real control of Russia and the Soviet Union over Germany? How did that work through the Stasi and through the government?
It changed over the time. The Stasi and the government works together. The Stasi and the other services like KGB and this, KGB, they work together all the time. When I moved for vacation just to Bulgaria, to the Black Sea, I had to apply before, even it was our part of the Iron War, the Iron Curtain. I had to apply, I had to tell what time I will go through to what checkpoint exactly, and I had to use this road in the checkpoint, because they checked me, it's a nice document, so they saw who I am, and they called back, so our basis knows exactly what border I went past and where I am. It was total control.
So the Soviet GRU and KGB just
worked very well together.
All came together.
At the end, Romania was following later, and the Stasi moved a lot of documents, including most of my documents they have about me, moved it to Romania, just to keep it away.
That was a point we never talked about. Your revolution was peaceful to a great extent, because the military stood down and said no. It wasn't an attempted coup like the Weimar and the military against Hitler. What about Romania and what happened around that time with Ceausescu? That was where the military stood down and they killed him.
Yes, this was completely different. Ceausescu tried to use the army. The Stasi, this part of Stasi, his own secret service was full on his side, there's no question about. But the army not. He tried to use the army, but he refused. And later, the army went against Ceausescu for the people and supported the people and killed Ceausescu.
And he was terrible, obviously, but
absolutely.
Some would say a lot worse than what was in East Germany. But that's a lesson, though. That's why the police and military obviously are so important, because they're where the rubber meets the road. I mean, tyranny will come to your door in a uniform.
Yes, an army should never ever go against their own people, because it's not the service of the army. And when we say now the army can be used to arrest some people, this is not right, for my opinion. We have a law enforcement for this case, and we don't need the army in their own country to arrest their own people.
Well, you mentioned secretly being arrested and disappearing in the first years of total power of East Germany and the communists. Now, as you said, America is going in the direction of tyranny, and of course, Germany was going in the direction of liberty. In the last 10, 12 minutes we've got, Mr. Spens, I want to give you the floor to look right at that camera out there. I think this is the camera he's on. Yeah, right here. And, you know, to have the floor as a Constitution teacher, as somebody who loves liberty, from your experiences, you're here to warn America about the parallels that you see. If I hear you say something that I can't understand, I may stop you and, ask you to repeat it. But specifically, you're saying, in many respects, America has surpassed what you grew up in, what you were a colonel in, what you saw, and then tie it all together with the choice our military and police and others have to make. So, you've got the floor. Talk to folks out there.
In East Germany, the army had clear order not to go against our people. This was absolutely clear, and there was no question about. The party tried to use all the power they have, but we got more and more liberty, more rights. It was written from the beginning, but the party ignored it. When I look here, and I watch politics very well because I'm new here, just 13 years. I never heard before anything from inside the United States. So I read the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and of course the amendments, especially the Bill of Rights. And I compare what is going on. And actually, I would apply for US citizenship. I have a green card. After a time, I could apply. When the time came, I decided not to apply because of the Patriot Act. So the Patriot Act is the same, not the same, but similar, what I know from the beginning of East Germany. You can be locked up. They throw the key away. They don't tell you any reason about it. You have not even a right to ask for any evidence. This cannot be. And this is absolutely against the Constitution. So therefore, I'm very interested in the Constitution, and for my opinion, it's the duty of every American to read and understand the Constitution, because this is the basis, and this is violated every day, almost every day. And when it comes to the point that people are afraid to speak out the truth, and say, oh, I will not become a target, or I will lose my liberty and my rights and my freedom, something is wrong. And it's getting worse and worse, for my opinion, at least from the point of view I see it. Yeah? Because I have seen this before, and it went over the years in the right direction. We got more liberty. At the end, the party was out of office, government out of office, in a peaceful way. Here it looks completely different. When the army will be used against the people, something must be wrong. And when you don't know the Constitution, don't know your rights, and the Bill of Rights, and the rights of the states, of course. When you don't know this, you don't realize that you are losing it. You lose it and you don't realize it until it is too late. Yeah? When you get arrested for no reason. This cannot be. The Constitution says clearly what has to happen. You have the right of a trial. They have to provide for you evidence. And not just take someone, don't tell him why, and lock him up. This is going on here. At least the documents are there to do so. And the documents are new, so it's getting completely in the wrong direction. And this should not be. When people are afraid to speak out, what is the First Amendment worth? Nothing. Then you can forget your Constitution. And this is the basis for this country. Therefore, America became the greatest country in the world, but not by taking the rights from the people away. This is not the way it should be. And it happens. For my opinion, as I said, it's the duty of every American to read and understand the Constitution. This is the law of the land, on the highest level.
Well, to use another German parallel, just to interject, Look at Hitler. There was a clear Weimar Republic modeled after the British and U.S. model, good constitution, but Hitler got into the system and then dismantled it. And it's another example of you get rid of your Constitution, Bill of Rights, binding down the government, it's over.
Yes.
Because you're always going to have bad people that want to abuse things.
The Constitution is there to keep the government on a level they have to do, they have to service the people, and avoid the government grabbing all the power. They have not to run our lives. This is not the reason for a government. They had limited rights, and any government in the world try to grab more and more rights.
What did you think of the film? Because I haven't asked you this off air, I'm asking you now for the first time. What did you think of the film, The Lives of Others?
It's very interesting, and this is what's about, but it really happens. Huh? And when you look at it, it goes back in the time. It's not the last years.
Now, isn't that that's based loosely on a true story, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a true story. Yeah. It is a true story. And they try to collect all the information. Every government tries to collect all the information they can get. Yeah? The question is how to use it. Yeah? And we should try to avoid this. When a government grabs all information, like the Stasi did, for what reason? To use it. In case they need it, they will lock you up, they have something against you. So it cannot be, I mean, this has nothing to do with liberty or freedom, and this was in East Germany very well organized. They had 80,000, the population was 60 million, and 80,000 were working for the Stasi and give them information. The same, when you are here, you have to report your neighbor if something is suspicious or something against the government.
Yeah, and again, if something's really bad, I know to report it. It's this idea of report everything. They're trying to get us, because in America, the snitch culture is really looked down on. Unless it's something really bad, then obviously you report it. But it's this idea of don't report everything, but then don't report stuff on the government, who's involved in incredible corruption. If you criticize that, I have an article right here where sheriff has a secret meeting with the citizens in the town about small government terrorists, and they tell them the Tea Party are terrorists. You're not a terrorist for supporting what the founders set up.
Yes.
And even if they were calling socialists, who I don't agree with, terrorists, that's wrong. I mean, even if I disagree with somebody's politics, it's their right. But it's always the socialist and the collectivists that try to restrict our speech.
Yes, absolutely.
Why is that? You mean you lived under it?
Just power. The only question is grabbing power as much as they can. Every government is trying to get more power and more people and grow up. Yeah? Every government in the world, not just here, but here is extremely. And actually, it should not be here because the Constitution avoids this.
Well, see, America's been the enemy of the mega elite, of banks. So they've taken their time, taking us over. That's why they want us dependent. How did East Germany try to keep you dependent?
Oh, there are a lot of ways. You are dependent on the government because, for example, your retirement, you get it from the government. You don't get it from government, you pay for it. Yeah? But it is regulated by the government. All your rights, when you try to go, for example, in a different country for vacation, you can or you cannot. When you're on sport, actually, yeah? And there are some competitions in West Germany, yeah, you have to work with the Stasi together or they will not let you go.
So you're treated like children.
Yes.
To be walked around by the government minders, which they're doing under Homeland Security, groping us, training us. But you expanded on that just now. You were talking about how they take your money out of your check, but then have a social security system.
Yes.
That's communist. And again, East Germany, I mean, when you look at the parallels of East Germany, this ultimate evil, we're told, and it's just, you go down the list, everything America does now. You just sit there and it's like, in fact, give me another document cam shot, guys. Every line, you've got all the little boxes of progressive income tax. That's in the Communist Manifesto. Social Security, your check. Government controls your pension. Have that. Public school. Have that. Giant federal power grab. Have that. Government Department of Agriculture. Have that. We even have the rural affairs. Surveillance cameras.